What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Bottom Line Podcast. I'm Jackson here with Jacob, and as many of you all might know, you probably heard, Kemba Walker has requested a trade. The Boston Celtics have agreed to trade him. You know, they have mutual interest to part ways. Obviously, Jacob is a Celtics fan here, so go ahead and give us your input on Kemba Walker in his previous season.
My input on the previous season, I'll say it was a big flunk. I'll put it that way. He only played 43 games. How many regular season games were there this year total?
72.
72. Okay, so 43 out of the 72. Right there speaks enough for itself. He dealt with a lot of injuries, but coming into the season, he actually had the surgery. I forgot what it was on, actually, but he had surgery coming in the season, so he missed games. And it was almost like he couldn't get into a groove, and he couldn't start, be that starting point guard like he was in Charlotte or even the previous year in Boston, which really I wasn't impressed with his performance then. The bottom line is the Boston Celtics experiment with Kemba Walker has been a complete failure, in my opinion, and that's why, personally as a Celtics fan, I'm happy that they finally mutually agreed to trade him.
So last year averaged 20 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Pretty much the same numbers this year. Shot a little bit worse from the field, just 0.05%.
Not much.
But still, shot worse from 3, and he attempted less threes this year.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm really trying to get at here is he did not have a good year at all.
Very inconsistent.
Last year he was also inconsistent. Obviously signed that big contract, $35 million a year or whatever it was. Probably not worth that.
No, not at all.
Not worth at all.
Not at all.
Definitely should have signed with the Mavericks. Obviously, after the 2018-19 season, that was Luka's rookie year. They realized that they need a point guard to play with Luka. And, when he's not in the game, take over and he could be their main scoring option. We saw in the playoffs, the Mavericks had no help.
No.
Luka went out, the game went to absolute crap. So we'll get into a possible trade with them later. But these past couple seasons with the Boston Celtics have not been good.
No, it's been a complete flunk. Like I said, it's been awful. I mean, if you look at it, when he was in Charlotte, and I know he didn't have as many, I think the thing with Kemba was he was in Charlotte, right? There was nobody in Charlotte. And then he came to Boston. Jason Tatum was just then picking up that star role in his first year in Boston. Tatum actually averaged 23 points per game. This year he averaged 26. So I do think Kemba was still stuck on, what role do I play? Am I the scorer or am I the playmaker for this team? And he never could get into a groove and figure it out.
Yeah, so obviously him being the third option has not worked it's horrible. He needs to be second or first option.
I was speaking this too. Tatum missed a whole month too with COVID. So then you had to be, he had to step up to that second role, right? Because Brown was being our leading scorer and averaged like 32, 33 a game. So Kemba had to step up, and then he missed games. Tatum come back. So it's in and out with COVID and injuries. It's just a rough year for the Boston Celtics, and I think, the best option is to trade him, look to trade him, and hopefully get some good pieces back.
Obviously, Brad Stevens, no longer the head coach, getting moved up to management. He's the general manager. He is the lead of basketball operations. What are your thoughts on that, moving forward? Can you think he can build a future? Maybe he sells the whole future and goes for a championship right now.
I think Brad Stevens is a winner, and you can say whatever you want to. Obviously, he's never been to a finals, but he's made multiple Eastern Conference Finals appearances within his time with the Boston Celtics.
He's got a young team.
Yeah, we made the playoffs every year besides his first year, if I'm not mistaken. His first year, he won 25, 26 games. But, that's the first year, so he gets a pass. But every single year, he's built a team. He's brought in Isaiah Thomas. Obviously, that was Danny Ainge, too. But he loves the young guys. He's a leader, and I think they couldn't have done it better with putting him at the head of basketball operations. And I do think that he'll bring us a title in the next 5 years. I think he's going to be more aimed at, let me get a title in the next 5 years and throw away the future. I don't think he cares. I could see him leaving.
So like what the Lakers did?
Yeah, I could see him. Yeah, just going after one title, maybe two if you get a good chance or injuries or whatever.
So, obviously, Celtics first round exit this year. No Jaylen Brown.
No.
Evan Fournier tried to step up, but he couldn't do nothing.
No, that's what I'm saying. It was just in and out, injuries and COVID.
Injuries
was rough. It was rough.
I don't see Evan Fournier coming back next year.
No.
I think it's going to be mutual.
I think it's $17 million is his contract. I just don't see him picking that up.
But first trade I want to look at here, we got the Celtics and the Clippers. This is Jacob's favorite trade because, I don't know why.
I'll speak on it.
Right,
so
go ahead and tell
we got, so the Celtics trading Kemba to the Clippers for Ivica Zubac, Pat Bev, and Luke Kennard. My thing with this trade is Kemba, I look at it as if the Clippers were to lose.
That's the contingency.
I think this trade only happens if the Clippers lose to Utah or if they lose in the Western Conference Finals.
They're playing a game tonight. I guess this is really going to dictate how the series goes in Utah game 2.
I believe if they were to lose either one of those, the Clippers go in panic mode and they look at it as, okay, we need a third guy. We need that third scoring option, that third guy to go to help Kawhi and PG and company. I believe that bringing him in, you're going to take more pressure off of Kawhi and PG and look at it as, okay, Kemba can go out and get you 15 and 20 if PG or Kawhi don't perform greatest. I would rather have that than rely on Nicholas Batum or Marcus Morris. That's just me personally. So I that's why I see them making this move. The Celtics, I see them making this move just because if you look at the past, I don't know how many years, but probably the past decade. If you look at our team, we've always
single center.
Not only that, we've always had a great starting 5 usually. But when you look at our bench, we just have no bench depth, and I think that's been our biggest flaw over the past however many years.
You're getting 2 really, really good bench players here, in Pat Bev and Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard has stepped up in a big way in these playoffs the last 2 or 3 games. He didn't get, much run in the first 5, but, games 6 and 7, he really stepped up, and he's hitting threes. He's on fire in these playoffs so far. And, the Clippers signed him to that 4-year, $64 million deal at the beginning of the season. Then they just didn't play him. Yeah. So, it's not really a good thing to pay a guy that much money to not play for you, especially as a bench piece. You don't really pay bench pieces $16 million a year unless they're your 6th man, Lou Will 4 years ago. So I think it might be time. They've only had Luke Kennard for 1 year, but it might be time to move on from him. And he can get sent to the Celtics where he will get playing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He'll be the 7th man.
Yeah, and it definitely, I know they want bench depth. I know they do because they've never had it. So I know that they would play him. I know they play Pat Bev, and then you switch out Zubac and Robert Williams, Tristan Thompson, however that rotation goes. But bottom line is here, if the Clippers were to lose, they panic, they go out and get that third star and possibly win a title. And for us, we look towards our biggest flaw in the past couple of years, which has been the bench depth. That's why I see this trade happening.
So another trade I want to look at is between the Celtics and the Pelicans. I'm a Pelicans fan. I've been talking about this one a lot. It's Kemba and Marcus Smart for Eric Bledsoe, Steven Adams, and Lonzo Ball. You can take away Lonzo Ball and Marcus Smart, and you can just be Kemba for Bledsoe and Steven Adams and like a 2nd-round pick. But looking at the teams and their needs, it sort of matches up. Pelicans are looking for a point guard who, can really score the ball. Right now, Lonzo's not. They say he's not working out. I think, give him a year or 2, he will be the guy, work out. But the Celtics get their center in Steven Adams. They're getting rid of Marcus Smart, who, a lot of Celtics fans are saying he's not working out for him.
No, he's not. I think about it all the time, and Julius Randle was actually picked 7th, and we picked Marcus Smart 6th. And I always think about that because I'm like, we've never had any good big men, and there was our shot to get one. But things happen and stuff like that in the draft. But
obviously, Randle, it took him a couple years to play.
Yeah, it did for sure. And who knows, with Danny Ainge, you'd have probably traded him. I mean, it's Danny Ainge.
But I think honestly, this trade right here between the Pelicans and the Clippers, those are your 2 most realistic options.
For sure.
Obviously, it'd have to be a sign and trade with Lonzo Ball. Probably sign him for a 4-year, $18 million contract. The Celtics got a good point guard, good defense, really good jumper, and he's a playmaker. Yeah, you get a center as well, and you get a bench piece in Eric Bledsoe to come in and be your backup one.
I also want to say this real quick. I know we sit here and bashed Kemba, so it sounds, I believe, he's not a bad player. If he gets in the right role, in the right position, and understands, okay, I'm aging, I'm dealing with injuries. Okay, this is my role. Like kind of what Carmelo did with Portland.
Yeah, he's thriving there now.
Yeah, let me take this bench role or let me take this starting role, but I'm not going to shoot the ball 15 times a game. Maybe I only get 8-10 shots, or maybe when guys are out, I will get 15 shots. Who knows? So I mean, the only problem with this trade is Kemba would still be the 3rd option, much like he was in Boston, right? And I just think that's just up to him if he's going to accept that, and if not, then if he goes to the Clippers, he's going to be 3rd option. So,
well, the Pelicans get Marcus Smart, good defensive shooting guard, which is sort of what they need. They have 2 really good ones already, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who keeps improving. Najee Marshall, who really came on the scene the last 25 games. But put that aside, we're going to look here again for a Celtics Mavericks trade.
I've seen a lot of this.
Yeah, Jacob doesn't really I don't know how you feel about it.
I'm not a huge Kristaps fan. I never have been, especially after his horrific performance in the first round of the playoffs. He's 7'3" and he plays like he's 6'3". I just don't understand it. I really don't. If I'm not mistaken, the composite dude for Denver averaged more rebounds than Kristaps. You can correct me on that. You can find that if you want.
Absolutely.
But it just shocks me. I mean, he's like a whole foot shorter, and if we were to get him, yeah, he's a big man, but it's not the type of big man I want. I know he's going to stand out there and shoot threes and not really go in. I need somebody that's going to go in and bang. That's what Tatum needs.
Yeah, so
to take Tatum doesn't need to be going in there trying to rebound and stuff.
Right, so in this trade that we've proposed, it's Kemba Walker for Kristaps Porzingis and Willie Cauley-Stein. See, that's why we got throwing Willie Cauley-Stein. They need that big man who can, bang with the other bigs, and he's going to get you the rebounds.
Yeah, go in there and battle.
Get the blocks. Now, obviously, him and Robert Williams, that's a good center rotation.
Oh, yeah.
And whether or not you're going to keep Tristan Thompson moving forward, he's on a 1 or 2 year deal. What is he on?
I think it's a 1 year. I'm not positive, but I think no matter what, even if it's not, I think we do. I think we'll bring him back for sure.
He had a few good games, didn't he, in the playoffs?
Well, especially against, and then I know Brooklyn isn't. They obviously their biggest flaw is not having a center. So, but he got multiple offensive rebounds and did great on the defensive end as well. So that was a great way for him to go out and push us to re-sign him.
So with this Celtics Mavericks trade, what I think is the biggest thing is the Celtics they're just giving teams a different look, right? They're giving them a 7'3" power forward and a 7-foot center, and they're just throwing out a bunch of tall players. You got 6'8", 6'9" Tatum. You got 6'6" Jaylen Brown, and then whoever y'all gonna get at point guard, whoever that is. We talk about this, and the free agency class this year is actually decent when it comes to point guards.
Yeah.
Looking at it before, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, but now I'm kind of sold on it. You got Devontae Graham, you got Goran Dragic, Mike Conley. You got a lot of good point guards in this free agent class. Derrick Rose. So I don't think that the Celtics are too far off when it comes to getting a point guard in free agency. But talk about the Mavericks here. They tried to sign Kemba 2 years ago in the 2018-19 offseason, and he ended up signing with the Celtics. Didn't work out, and now he's requesting a trade. So if he goes to the Mavericks, I think that helps him a lot. Luka Doncic goes out of the game, and it
takes a lot of pressure off Luka too. He doesn't have to have the ball in his hands 90% of the time. He doesn't have to get a bucket every time. He can rely on Kemba, or maybe they'll sign somebody, or Tim Hardaway, Dorian Finney-Smith can step up. So I think that would help them tremendously.
Yeah. As soon as Luka went out in these playoffs against the Clippers, we obviously saw how horrible that went. They blew leads, everything just went bad. That's why Kemba's in the game. He could kind of be your game manager, but he'd have to step up because right now, the stuff isn't going well.
I want to mention one more trade that I've seen a little bit of is that deals with Oklahoma City Thunder with Shea Gill and maybe Al Horford as well. I don't know how the contracts work. I think Al Horford, because he makes $27 million per year, and maybe you throw Marcus Smart in there. I don't know how that would work, but I have seen a lot of that, and really that would, alongside with the Clippers one, I would be very happy with that. You look at it, Shea, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. That's a heck of a big three to me. I know Shea's young, but he's got a bright future, and he's a great point guard. So with that one, and we get Al Horford. Obviously, he was there, but that didn't work out too great. But I think he plays a different role now. He was on a team with Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, a young Jason Tatum, a young Jaylen Brown. So he had a higher role of being a scorer and being a rebounder. I think now he could play, he doesn't have to play as many minutes. He doesn't have to play a bigger role.
He gets to play his game.
And in my opinion, he would thrive more now with us than he was 3 or 4 years ago.
So he's 35 years old. If you do trade for him, he's being signed for the next 2 years on $27 million a year. Yeah. Honestly, I think you all have him for 1 year and then reach a buyout with him. So, I think sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think Oklahoma does accept this trade too, just also because if they get Kemba, right, that's a good replacement for Shea. And they'd get rid of Horford because, they didn't even play the man. They didn't play him to tank, so there's no way that they wouldn't do that trade. I think you all would have to throw in a couple first-round picks.
Yeah, you're probably
first-round pick, maybe even Marcus Smart.
We had I think we have the 16th pick this year, possibly. Somehow that's already been figured out. I don't know how, but if not, then we still have a first round pick, so we'd give him that probably.
Mm-hmm. Do you also have any a lot of first round picks from when Danny Ainge was in?
No, those are all up. Those are all
down.
they've all. I think the last one was last year or 2 years ago. Last year, or no, it might have been last year, because last year was the first year that we had only had like 1 or 2 draft picks in the first round in years.
Yeah, so I see you all maybe trading Kemba Walker and 2 or 3 first round picks for Al Horford and Shai Gill, because in all honesty, I don't see Oklahoma City Thunder keeping Kemba.
Yeah.
If they do, it's just to sell tickets,
Mm-hmm.
Get the revenue up. If you all do this trade, right? Kemba goes to OKC. I think he's being traded again.
Yeah.
But I don't know
Probably
who's gonna
right.
want. I don't know who's gonna want.
That's the
Kemba.
problem. There's not a
many
lot of teams
who
that want him. So
another team that may look to get him is Chicago, but a backcourt of Kemba and Zach LaVine.
how
That's
that'll
a
work.
very bad defense.
and they just picked up.
Offensively,
Vucevic,
they'd be good, but
so.
defensively, they would probably be one of the worst teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's just about everything we got to say today. If you like the video, make sure to leave a like. If you're new, please consider subscribing. And I guess we'll see y'all next time.